Officially in 1977, myself with another photographer named Michael Feinberg started the Photography Center. We were trying to really create a community for photography, a place where people could come and learn about photography, could see fine photography that was both being created and the history, a place where workshops could happen and people could gather and talk about photography. And that was a new idea at the time. There was a freshness and exhilaration, if you will, about being part of such an organization. CPW really exists for young photographers, and from my point of view, I think it's doing an extraordinary job in being a valuable resource to that young community of photographers. The center is a manifestation of young photographers' exploration into what photography can be, what photography can do, both for themselves and for the world. It was really the mission of CPW was to share what we knew and loved about photography with the rest of the world, was to increase the community of photographers.
I was impressed when I went to the exhibition that they held about the history of CPW. They just recently celebrated an anniversary, and it was really informative to go back and look at all the artists they had supported, the different types of media. They weren't shy about showing experimental work, abstraction, street photography, you name it, it's there in the history of the Center for Photography at Woodstock. So I think those types of organizations are really critical at this time. Photography is an art form. We experience it sort of in this fluid way throughout the arts, but it's important to be reminded of the history and the people who've supported that history and who've been willing to really push it forward over time. And I think that the CPW is one of those.
I mean, I've always been very happy about the publication of the Center Quarterly. That's a publication that we put out, which I think both in terms of the photographs that we produce and more importantly the writings in there, is I think a significant contribution to the world of photography.
I participated in CPW's Artist in Residence program last year in 2009. It's a huge, generous offer for them to allow you to come there and live for anywhere, I think, 2 to 4 weeks. These people are just so knowledgeable about photography, the current state of photography, the history about photography. So that was just, I think for me, it was like the most productive and also just inspirational time.
It's just very important. It's very important that it exists, and very important that it continues to exist. And I think it's had real impact by putting that out for, close to 35 years now. The truth is, it continues to be a label of love, and without that, it wouldn't exist, because it's just about much more than money for most people.